Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Swedish progressive rock and metal crew Opeth entitled The Last Will and Testament.
Prog rock? Boo! Get that dorky virgin nerd garbage out of here!
Well, actually, now that I think about it, we can actually say progressive death metal this time around, for the first time in a long time, because Opeth have reincorporated death metal influences and even guttural vocals back into the mix.
Whoa, wait a minute, Opeth is death metal again? Finally, the metal gods have answered my prayers! These pussy posers have seen the error of their ways and they're a metal band again! This album is automatically awesome!
I mean, it's still got a ton of dynamics, a bunch of different flavors and spices. It has theatrical elements and clean vocals and flutes and strings and, Hammond organs and, spoken word sections and influences from prog bands old and new like Genesis, Jethro Tull, and Porcupine Tree.
Boo! Nobody cares about your artsy-fartsy soy boy bullshit! Boo!
But yeah, simultaneously, because of some of those really heavy tones and because of those guttural vocals, this is a dirtier and darker record, certainly more so than anything we've heard from Opeth within the past decade.
Hell yeah! I suddenly care! It's got death metal riffs again! Yeah!
Huh. I'm starting to notice a bit of a pattern here. Hey, Thrash and Jackson, an Opeth song. Prog rock with clean vocals.
Grrr! Opeth sold out! They changed their sound! I don't like it! I don't like it one bit!
Okay, imagine the exact same song, but a heavier guitar tone and also guttural vocals.
Yeah! Woo! I never paid attention to anything Opeth did! I only cared about the gutturals and the death metal riffs! Woo!
Cool. All right, let's address the big bloated elephant carcass in the room. A lot of people are going to act as if this new Opeth album is miles ahead of everything Opeth have done within the past decade, simply because it has guttural vocals and because it's a little bit more death metal than the last couple of records. And I think that that's just really fucking silly, frankly. I mean, Opeth have definitely changed their sound a lot, especially within the past decade, but I mean, at the core, I feel they've always been a progressive rock and metal band that was playing around with death metal vocals, rather than a death metal band that was playing around with progressive rock and metal influences. And also, even if their last couple of records haven't had death metal influences and guttural vocals, they have still been very fucking good. Like, Heritage has an excellent and enthralling blend of progressive rock, jazz, and folk influences. Pale Communion is a full-blown blast of 1970s progressive rock and classic rock worship, pulling influence from bands like Yes, Gentle Giant, Rainbow, the aforementioned Jethro Tull, and Genesis. And Incana Venenem was a great album too, at least in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority here. Whatever. I just find that whole discourse around Opeth now suddenly being good again because they have gutturals. Oh my god, let's fucking jerk each other off because this is incredible. Opeth sucked until now. Like, this is fucking silly. Opeth has continued to be a really good fucking band. The fact is, Michael Ackerfeld is a total master of his class and also a full-blown prog nerd. Like, there's nobody else, maybe with the exception of Steven Wilson, operating within the realms of progressive rock and metal that is as much of a scholar and connoisseur and total fanboy of progressive rock and metal as Michael Ackerfeld. And his love and appreciation for this genre and his belief as to what the genre can do and is capable of is showcased consistently across this record. It is dramatic, it is evocative, it is immersive, it is moving. The overall story and concept of this album too, I think, is one of the most unique and compelling I've heard on a prog rock or metal album in quite some time. As a press release summarizes, The Last Will and Testament is a concept album set in the the post-World War I era, unfolding the story of a wealthy, conservative patriarch whose last will and testament reveals shocking family secrets. The narrative weaves through the patriarch's confessions, the reactions of his twin children, and the mysterious presence of a polio-ridden girl who the family have taken care of. Pretty clever, too, to name the songs after articles and paragraphs in the last will and testament as well, you know? It kind of puts you right there in the middle of the whole thing, you know? Like you're reading this with the family. The album's opening number, Paragraph 1, is quite possibly one of the best songs Opeth have dropped in years. Certainly one of the best album openers they've had in a very long time. I love its combination of and contrast of ghastly chanting vocals and wailing vocals and ferocious gutturals and more traditional clean vocals. I love the use of like roaring, thunderous twin guitars. I love the use of more delicate and atmospheric like mellotron and keyboards. I love these use of like more jagged kind of offbeat rhythms. It makes for a very dramatic and unpredictable roller coaster of a listen, tapping into vibes I don't think I've really heard from Opeth since the days of Blackwater Park and Deliverance. It just does an amazing job at communicating the shock, the awe, the agony, the despair, the confusion, and the heartbreak that this family would be going through as this process is beginning. And it'd be a tall order for any band to try to maintain this kind of multifaceted melodrama and momentum across the album after something like Paragraph 1. Thankfully, Opeth is not any band. They're Opeth. Paragraph 3, for instance, has some moody and melancholic yet spirited melodies sung with passion and conviction, layered over top some more technical and unorthodox progressive rock and metal movements and rhythms and structures, with some great synthesizer and flute and string work and orchestral elements kind of soaring over top, elevating everything. Loving that transition at the 4-minute mark into some more spooky, ominous, and bombastic, almost Ghost or King Diamond style rock. Like it legit sounds like this imposing force, this ancient spirit kind of looming over you, presenting itself to you for the first time, offering you a variety of hellish treats. Love how sophisticated and intricate and expressive and full-on brutal that something like Paragraph 5 is as well. Like some of the nastiest, most in-your-face growls on the entire record, very haunting atmosphere, but at the same time, it does a great job at blending and folding in like some really beautiful string work and some like bluesy, jazzy guitars and vibes. Loving the soap opera-esque melodrama of Paragraph 2 as well. No spoilers, no worries. But we do start getting some big revelations right now early on in this cut, and the reactions that we see from this cast of characters on the album is expressed in a lot of really interesting ways. Like you have some ominous spoken word, you have these extreme vocal outbursts, really cool shit. And the closing number, A Story Never Told, not only concludes this album in exquisite and grandiose fashion, it's also quite possibly one of the best songs of the year. Amazing interplay here between passionate yet restrained and delicate piano and flutes and vocals, and its build and blossom and transition into more guitar-driven prog with a massive, grand, soulful solo is pretty spectacular as well. Everyone is doing an amazing job across the board, and that includes everybody behind the scenes. Dare I argue, a perfectly produced prog rock, prog metal record. I may, but I want to give a shout out specifically to the band's newest member, their drummer, Walteri. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce your last name. I'm going to butcher that. I'm a dumb white guy. Cut me some slack. Like, this is a truly masterful performance on drums across the board. You know, he gets to flex his love of prog rock and jazz, and he gets to throw in all these really technical fills and all these really powerful fucking blasts, and he's just fucking killing it. I started this review thinking I would give it a 4 out of 5, but now that we're at the end, I think that it is far more deserving of a 4.5 out of 5. A very enthusiastic one at that. It's just so well written and produced and performed and presented in every single aspect. No fat, no filler, no duds whatsoever, no weak moments, nothing I could really even nitpick, even if I sat here and really fucking tried to do so. Everyone is at the top of their game. This story is unique and exciting and action-packed and filled with drama and suspense. Like, I could literally just sit here and listen to this story play out. Like, it's genuinely a great story, and it's backed by some of the best music that Opeth have made in a very, 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 very long time. It feels like the most fully Opeth that Opeth have been for a long time. It does a great job at building on the successes of the last couple of records, and it also brings back so many classic tones and ideas from Blackwater Park, from Deliverance, from Ghost Reveries, from Watershed. Some people are gonna glaze this thing up just because of the return of death metal vocals and such. Nuh-uh. I'm glazing this thing up because it deserves to be glazed up. You and I are not the same. So, yeah, there you have it. One of the best albums of the year, arriving just in time for my birthday. Wow. Happy birthday to me indeed. Goddamn. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Of course you like this record. The fuck is wrong with you? And what do you want to hear from me next? Thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. Look, there's even more videos here. That's so crazy. How does that keep happening? How does that keep happening? And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.